So let's start with my good friend Dehenna Davison, who's just finished her own show, got out, stretched her legs and come straight back in here. And very welcome. We talked a little bit about it at the end of your programme. But first things first, party hat firmly on. He's eventually gone. Should he have gone sooner? Should the party have got rid of him sooner?
I think the whole thing should have been handled much quicker. One would have hoped that the whips, who I'm pretty sure knew who it was right from the get-go, could have removed the whip sooner, referred it to investigation sooner, and had the whole process carried out as properly and swiftly as possible.
Fascinating twist to all of that, and my other guests may come in on it. But there was a rumour circulating for 2 days that it was somebody else.
There was.
Who turns out to be entirely innocent.
Absolutely.
That is outrageous.
Well, so many of us in politics do unfortunately become the victim of anonymous briefings, much of which turns out to be nonsense. I've been subject to it myself, but thankfully never on any allegation as serious as this. And it's really hard, not just on you, on your team, on your family, but on your constituents as well, who suddenly get this different view of you, like, oh, are they guilty, are they not? Yeah. So absolutely, it should have been tackled much more swiftly, sent through the appropriate procedures. Yeah. And for what it's worth, I think Neil was absolutely right to resign on this. He was banged to rights. You catalogued a whole range of things that people had a go at you for in a piece in the Daily Express a few days ago. But interestingly, that was sparked not by Parish or pornography, but by Angela Rayner, the deputy leader of the Labour Party, and whether or not she flashed her legs to try and put the Prime Minister off and what have you. In a sense, I raise that because if there is a problem, it's not just a Tory problem. No, well, you're right. Well, you notice I wear trousers because I wouldn't possibly want to distract an unsuspecting man. Exactly.
Just in case anyone crosses the line.
If you can't see them, there they are. No, I mean, it is an issue that I think women in many walks of life, but particularly in public life, do face. Any politician is scrutinised for a whole range of things, but I think when you're a woman, there's this added layer. You know, people talk about what you're wearing, what your tone of voice is like, whether your voice is too high-pitched, whether it's too squeaky, the intention behind what you're doing. So when I go on media, I'm always, you know, deemed to be attention-seeking and just in it for self-publicity, when actually that's not what it's about at all. It's about communicating messaging. It's about helping add to the debate. Men don't tend to get that same level of criticism. And I must admit, it's blooming draining, Alastair. It really is. The
Rayner case also raises something beyond sexism, and that's about straightforward integrity and honesty. And David Lammy was on another TV station this morning saying, yeah, we got it wrong, we didn't tell the truth initially, and now we've clarified that. Starmer for a long time said there was no party in Durham, then there was a party in Durham, and Angie wasn't there, and yes, she was there. I mean, I kind of think that folk out there might be slightly more worried about politicians not telling the truth, as opposed to in it unacceptably being sexist towards you.
I think it's exactly right. And for me, I value integrity above pretty much anything else in politics. I think it's really important. You know, people put their trust and their faith in us when they elect us to do, you know, what we think is right. And we have to repay that by being honest. And that honesty sometimes means holding your hands up and saying, I'm sorry, I didn't get this one right, I made a mistake. But unfortunately, as politicians with the spin machine around us, there is this tendency to try and kind of use subterfuge and spin and whatever to try and kind of get out of tricky situations. And I think the public like straight talkers. They would rather someone just say, sorry, I got it wrong, let's move on and repair the damage.
Including your boss, the Prime Minister.
I think so. Yeah. And actually I had a discussion with the Prime Minister on this very issue and about how the handling of the whole kind of Partygate saga right from the get-go was wrong. And he said he didn't disagree with me, actually.
How interesting. Final question, and I mentioned it when we were chatting earlier on. Lindsay Hoyle has written a very powerful piece in The Observer this morning. And when he took over as Speaker from John Bercow, he said, I'm not having this sexism, I'm not having this bullying and all of that kind of stuff. And he's now talking about a Speaker's conference. Yeah. Is that the sensible way forward? Isn't it just a case of Keir, Boris, Ed, the rest of them, reading the Riot Act to all of you, particularly the guys?
I think so. I mean, it is important that the kind of institutions of Parliament led by the Speaker do kind of get this right as well. But actually, it is for party leaders, I think, to talk to their individual members and say, come on. And I was going to say, come on, lads. It usually is, lads, in this case, when we're talking about the misogyny, sexism argument in particular. But actually, for all of us to do better, be better, use our words much more carefully. I do think it's right for party leaders to step in, read people the Riot Act, but also to act really swiftly where there are allegations made. Sure. You know, people can be found guilty or not guilty, but send it for investigation straight away, withdraw the whip if needs be, restore it if needs be, but let's just get some integrity and trust back into this system.
All right. Final question. And again, it worried me slightly when I read it. I think it's in the Telegraph, is Oliver Dowden talking about 50% of Tory MPs next time round will be women. If that's a great idea, why didn't he tell us about it earlier? And secondly, is it a right idea? Don't local associations like yours in Bishop Auckland have the right to choose whoever? Labour got into terrible trouble over this, only women lists and what have you. I want the best possible MP in my constituency down in Hampshire who happens to be a woman. By the by. Is Oliver on the money here, or is it a knee-jerk reaction?
I think yes and no. We need to look quite carefully at what he said, because what is not being proposed are all-women shortlists or quotas or anything along those lines. It's more an ambition to try and encourage more women to put themselves forward, to stand, and to get some of those women through the actual process of becoming a candidate and then helping guide them through selection processes. Because one of the things that I found from speaking to candidates over, the 12 years that I've been involved, is that usually women are more reluctant to put themselves forward. A bloke will say, I'm going to do it. A woman needs to be asked before she gets the confidence to do it. So we need to find some of the talent of the future and really cultivate it. But also, the process is really hardcore. So groups like Women to Win in the Conservative Party, I know there are equivalents in other parties, do really well in helping train up women, prepare them for the process, get them through it. Because I think, genuinely, Parliament would be better if it was more reflective of society. But we certainly shouldn't impose quotas or all-women shortlists. I was selected in Bishop Auckland. There were 3 of us in the shortlist. I was the only woman, and I won because they liked me more. They thought I'd do a better job. That's how it should be.
That's exactly
absolutely how it should be. It should be the best person for the job. But we need to help the pipeline. We need to encourage more women to get involved, doing that through kind of encouraging steps rather than anything kind of more regimented, is my view.
Good to see you. And thank you for
Likewise.
Extending your day,
It's quite
your working day.
Anything for you, Alastair.
You take care, and thank you very much, Nadine. If you have a chance to listen to Barbara Follett later on, I think you'll genuinely find that conversation interesting. So that was my good friend, Dehenna Davison, Conservative Member of Parliament for Bishop Auckland, and of course fellow GB News presenter.